right, it is Figgie and the Moose on this Monday right here on Pix 11 Plus. Good morning, Figgie. How are you?
I am well, brother. How you doing?
I'm good. I mean, tough weekend for both baseball locals.
Uh,
Yankees get in Miami against the Marlins, and the Giants taking 2 or 3 from the Mets.
we were just having so much promise as of trade deadline came and went, and all the wonderful additions, and how this was exactly what both teams needed, right at the right time. And what do we have? 1 win and 5 losses to show for it. Not
Yeah,
cool.
1 win, 5 losses, and the Yankees are now a third-place team in the American League East, and make the argument maybe the Yankees don't make the playoffs. Luis Gil made his return to the mound yesterday down in Miami against the Marlins, unsuccessful. Yankee bats have been really, really quiet. They continue to play a bad brand of baseball as well when you look at the Bombers overall here in 2025. So, obviously, Boone's going to take all the slings and arrows for the way that this team is playing. It's going to fall on the manager. I understand that. There are a lot of people that get that and understand it, but it goes far deeper than that. The issues with this team, and they banked on Gil. We'll see exactly what version of Luis Gil we get as we move along here. Back into the bullpen was a disaster Friday night. All the new guys played a role in what was an epic Yankee loss. Led the game 6-0 at one point in time, 9-4. End up losing 13-12 to what is a red-hot Miami Marlin team, as they've won 6 consecutive series, Figgy. But overall, just not a good vibe, good feel. It's, thank God it's August. It's not September, but the Yankees begin a series now with the Texas Rangers with Fried on the mound later on tonight against Patrick Corbin. And you look at a Yankee team that is desperate in need for a series victory and some positive vibes.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think you look at the Miami Marlins and you talk about a team that, a young team that was left for dead. There were 16 games under 500. They are now 500. And now 16 games as of June. There were 16 games under 500. They have played some tremendous baseball and continue to find ways to beat you. Rookies coming up, having their debuts, having big moments, big games, where you go and look on the other side of it. It's the Yankees, for the first time in their history, have been swept by the Miami Marlins. Just what you saw, you couldn't believe. You couldn't have written it in your worst nightmares on Friday's game. Having a lead 3 different times, Volpe seeming to come through with the big moment, 4-hit game for Volpe. And every single person who came over in the trade had a hand in what was one of the biggest collapses I've ever seen for the Yankees. To have that game in hand so many times, and even right at the very end, all you got to do is field a ground ball that hits you in right field. But apparently the double oven mitts, he uses them in the field as well, playing right field, Mr. Caballero. And ran right past the ball, goes right past him. Winning run goes all the way to third base. And then it took a really big, colossal home run swing and the ball moving 4 feet in front of the plate to win the ball game. So that just insult to injury, the way that it ended. You couldn't believe it. You just, and us, me especially, I sat back like this. Ooh, can't wait for the post game. Can't wait. Yeah, and then the next day is a shutout. And then the following, we think Luis Gil is coming back. And of course, there's going to be some rust. It's been quite a while since he's been on the mound. Stowers has developed into an all-star and continues to play like an all-star. He had 8 RBIs in the series in 2 games. He didn't have any RBIs in game 2, but he had 8 RBIs overall. The Miami Marlins played some inspired baseball. It looked like a team that was trying to prove something, whereas the Yankees, it's all right in front of them. And Jazz Chisholm's play, the best I've seen, as far as when talk to baseball IQ and trying to do too much in a situation that didn't require you to do too much, where he gets picked off of first base on a pop-up in the infield. What he's thinking is the guy was going to let it drop and then throw him out at second so you get the faster runner out. And he thought with the turf that it might bounce high enough that he could make it to second base. All those things are great thoughts. But you know what? If you're supposed to be out, you're going to be out. You're not faster. You're not faster than anybody on the planet to be able to think you're going to run 90 feet before the guy's going to be able to throw the ball from second base from position to second base and get you out. And that led to our first confrontation that we've seen. It was very reminiscent of Reggie Jackson and Billy Martin. Remember when they went toe-to-toe in the dugout back all those years ago. Superstar player and the manager not seeing eye to eye. And they went down in the tunnel and had some words, and you could see how displeased Boone was as he yelled at the coaching staff a little bit firmer than he would yell at the player, of course. Yelled at the coaching staff as if it's the first base coach's fault for Jazz getting picked off.
Right. So, I mean, how many, right, when you're looking at Chapman, the first base coach for the Yankees, you get, I don't even know what to say anymore. It's just there's no need for Chisholm to be aggressive, Wells for getting outs, Dominguez for getting outs, people go, and Boone could say we're no different than every other team in Major League Baseball. Well, the problem you have is, the Yankees used to be different. They used to not be like everybody else, right? They used to go out there and be like, oh, we're going to play a better brand of baseball, smart baseball, this and that. Like, we can look at it. You could look at it this way, Figgy. Even if the Yankees make the playoffs, what gives you the belief now that this group is capable of playing enough quality baseball consistently for them to go win a World Series?
Yeah. No, that's the hard part to imagine, to envision, right? It used to be, I mean, you never saw this many bad plays. You never saw this many errors. You never saw this many, the leaning on we're taught to be aggressive. Right. There's aggressive and as you love to say, there's aggressive and then there's stupid. Those are stupid plays. There's stupid moments in games where you're trying to do too much. There's moments in even Grisham being overly aggressive in yesterday's game. In certain situations, you want to be a spark. I get all that, but the Yankees are supposed to be built where they are one swing away, up and down the lineup from somebody being that spark. And yesterday was no different, right? They scored 3 runs on 2 home runs. You look at all their runs that they're scoring, it's been a bunch of home runs. And Volpe's double was a huge one, to try and put that game away on Friday's game, but it wasn't meant to be, even though, Volpe gave the whole calm down thing. I mean, that really, since the calm down thing, moments in time, the Volpe calm down moment, that really turned the season around for them, and almost in the wrong way. Like it everybody played like the game was in hand and the Miami Marlins were going to roll over, and they're not. And nobody else in baseball is going to roll over. Right now, they're in 3rd place. The Red Sox continue after trading their best player, way back in May, after trading, and they got 1 or 2 little pieces, but there's a team philosophy. There's a team belief. They're going out there and they're being aggressive, and they're not afraid of the Yankees. They're licking their lips, waiting for another chance to play the Yankees right now. And the Yankees don't want any part of that.
No, right now the Yankees don't. And I don't know if it's necessarily anything's going to, change. You're going to get, Judge back at some point in time. You got Heel back into the starting rotation. They look lifeless offensively. I mean,
what's the earliest Judge can come back? Do we know?
He went on. I thought it was like this Tuesday, right? Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah. So it should be in the beginning of the week, if at worst, at midweek. And if he's not activated, then that's a bigger issue.
Well, then it's, correct. And there was concern about whether or not Aaron Judge would be a guy that when he does return, what caliber player, but was going to be a really true 10-day IL stint for Aaron Judge after having the flexor strain in his elbow, not a UCL tear. So is it going to be on the short, or is it going to be on the long? And they miss him. I mean, they need him in the lineup, but Yankees found new and interesting ways, or they lost every which possible way you can, whether it be stupid, whether it be the bullpen imploding, the offense scoring, no pitching, no offense, everything that you've gotten, you saw over the course of the weekend against a Miami Marlins team that, in front of, 35,000 down there in South Beach, and Miami's right now a 500 baseball team, and they're only 6 games out of a wild card spot in the National League.
Yeah, that's the scary part. And we always say it's not necessarily the teams that are running away with the division. You got to watch out for the teams that get hot and the teams that start to believe, because the beautiful thing about baseball is any team can beat any other team. And especially in a short series, you don't want to play a team that has nothing to lose. That's all they kept talking about with the Miami Marlins this weekend. Oh, they got nothing to play for. That's what we heard that on the broadcast. They've got nothing to play for. They got nothing to lose. Right. And how many times did I hear that on the Yankee broadcast? They've got nothing to play for. They got nothing to lose. Meanwhile, the Yankees, who have everything to lose, are sitting back on their laurels and the 27 championships. This is not that team. This is not that team. This is not even the team that got to the World Series last year, because at least you knew two batters, famously said by Severino, at least two batters were in that lineup. You don't have one of those batters right now, right?
No.
You don't. So besides that, and you look at all the ineptitude of the quality of baseball, the standard of baseball, it can't. I know they work at this every day. I watched it. You and me have been out there early
Are you
watching
sure
them take
about
ground
that?
balls. But we've seen him take ground balls. We've seen him do extra batting practice. We've seen him hit the ball the other way, watching Stanton hitting rockets off the right field wall, and Stanton continues to swing a decent bat. And that's one of the bright spots. But it's all the way around, just the way that it looks, the way that it feels. And Boone's starting to show some frustration, and rightfully so, because that the media is clamoring for it. He can't give the same cliche because they're going to throw it right back in his face, and they're going to put it out there in memes. So he has to start putting out there, you know what? As the manager and the coaching staff, we can't wish it for you. We can't hope it happens. You've got to make it happen. And that's what he said. We have to make it happen. Everything's on empty now, right? The tank is on empty. They literally are crawling into the gas station. They better have filled up, because the Texas Rangers are coming into town who are fighting for a wild card spot. And if you think they're not going to try and keep you down and try and leapfrog you in the wild card standings, absolutely, that's what they're playing for right now. And if you want to call that their World Series, so be it, because they've been a World Series champion a lot sooner or a lot more recent than you have. So it's time right now to figure it out and find ways to win ball games and stop finding ways to lose ball games.
That's the Yankee side of things. We'll get into the Mets. We'll do that next. It's Figgie and the Moose on this Monday right here on Pix 11 Plus. All right, welcome back. It's Figgie and the Moose. Marc, Malusis, Nelson, Figueroa with you right here on Pix 11 Plus. So Yankees begin a series in Texas. We talked a little bit about the Bombers and their, let's be honest, swoon that they're in right now. As far as the Mets, they drop a series to the Giants 2-3. They entertain the Cleveland Guardians. It's a Mania day, so you should get a well-pitched day for the New York Mets. But kind of alarming weekend. A Giants team that made the decision at the deadline that, it's not going to be any kind of our year.
Right.
And they trade away, Tyler Rogers to the Mets, Duvall to the Yankees, and so on and so forth. And they have themselves a great win Friday night, daylight loss on Saturday, and then a daylight victory on Sunday as the Mets get set to entertain the Guardians tonight out at Citi Field with Sean Manaea being on the mound. And that's where it gives you confidence that the Mets will be able to bury yesterday afternoon's loss, is because of Manaea. I mean, he's one of the good starting pitchers. I think the only thing over the weekend that would be concerning outside of dropping 2-3 was the fact that Senga did not look particularly good.
Yeah, Senga did not look good at all. We did not see we've seen this in two out of the last three starts, I'd say. It just doesn't look as crisp. It doesn't look as sharp. It looks like it's laborious from the very onset. You're not seeing a pitcher who with dominant stuff go out there with that dominant mentality. And something's always been a little off for me with Senga, because he came over from Japan, touted as an ace. And even when the media, and I asked them the question in spring training about last year, when I said, you are the de facto ace of this team, what does that mean to you? And he's like, no, I'm not an ace. Like, he shied away from that moment. He shied away from being the guy that they depend on. He shied away from it. Meanwhile, his performances leading up to this past three have, warranted it. We're pitching to below a 2 ERA. But you're not seeing that same guy. Like, you're seeing a guy, and my dad used to say it all the time about me, you're a junk ball pitcher. You're throwing so many split fingers and so many fork balls and so many changeups and so many breaking balls that it's like you're almost afraid to throw your fastball. This guy's got a 95 plus, 97 plus fastball, and he's not using it in any way, shape, or form as a weapon. He's going out there and he's flipping up, 2-0 fork balls and nonstop ghost fork ball. So the ghost fork ball used to be one of the most unhittable forces in baseball. No one's ever seen anything like it. It disappears. Right now it's appearing, and it's appearing almost too often, and the hitters are sitting back and they're not impressed with it. And that's a concern big time for the Mets, because they are supposed to be, the those frontline starters that came back are supposed to be the leaders of this. Manaea steps into that role, and he kind of looks like he has those shoulders, broad shoulders that can, weather the storm and say, I got this. I don't see that from Senga thus far. I see him kind of just very concerned about what he has to get done and how he gets through it. And covering first base is always hold your breath because you don't know what's going to happen. But I need to see a little bit more of a grit, a determination out of Senga, and I haven't seen it yet.
All right, then you get Manaea on the mound tonight, Figgy. And as you talk a little bit about the concern of Kodai Senga, Manaea not really necessarily the case. I think he's got like an under 2 ERA. You want to get depth from these starters, though, if you're the New York Mets moving forward, because of all the arms that you brought in. You don't want to have a similar scenario where you're overtaxing them down the stretch here, because this team was built for October success.
Yeah, and the overtaxing, you shouldn't be putting that on the big arm that you're expecting to be at the back end to help you finish off wins. My biggest concern, of course, we talked about Senga and the ineptitude of the way that he's pitching. He got staked to the 3-0 lead on Saturday, and the Mets win the game. Don't get me wrong, but it was Sunday's game where one of the guys that were brought in, who they felt like was a guy who could turn the corner, who had a high strikeout rate, and of course comes into the season with the injury. You look at Montas right now, and he's just been awful. Absolutely awful. I think there out of all his starts that he's had, he's probably pitched 2 games where there was an adequate starter, type ball game. But everything else that I'm watching, it's high octane. It's looking for the strikeout. It's high pitch count early on. He's 4 innings, 7 runs, 7 earned, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. That's not something that the caliber of payday that he got is warranting, and what you're needing out of the New York Mets. You need somebody to be an innings eater. The good old fashioned days of a guy who can go out there and give you 6, 7 innings. The Bartolo Colons, where it wasn't sexy, it was actually big sexy. It wasn't sexy, but he went out there with 1 pitch. Guy went out there with a sinker. 91 of 99 pitches were going to be sinkers, and he'd give you 7 innings. It might be 3 runs, but it's 7 innings. And then you get the back end of the bullpen to finish it off, and 8th and 9th inning, and you have a victory. So the formula is not as simple when you got to start only going 4 innings. The whole 2 times through the lineup happens very fast when you're giving up 7 runs. So that's not the way that the formula should be shaking out. And it's a huge concern the way Montas is pitching. The good thing for the Mets is they've got 2 starters that are on the mend that are hopefully back soon. You got McGill and you've got Blackburn. Those are 2 guys that you can insert into Montas's role. You can push Montas into a relief role, which he has done before as well. Anything is possible, but those the back end 2 in Montas and Clay Holmes, where we know he's 5-inning Clay Holmes. That's a big cause for concern, because as you said and you've reiterated over and over again, you can't keep taxing these bullpen arms, especially the new bullpen arms that you just brought in here, that you're hoping that were fresher. They're a higher standard. I mean, Stanek imploded as well. Again, 5 runs without getting 3 outs. I would take high money that Stanek would not give up 5 runs without getting 3 outs.
No, I know. Is there concern right now with the lineup as well, and the lack of consistency when you look at the lineup as far as this Met team sitting here early August? We know about the big 4, core 4, top 4, whatever we want to talk about, but overall depth of this lineup too.
Absolutely. I think if you're looking at this lineup and you're saying that it has the potential to be a very complete lineup, but we haven't seen it in actuality, right? On paper, it looks fine. On paper, we heard Alvarez famously tout it's the best lineup in all of baseball, and that was in spring training. But we have not seen that come to fruition. We have not seen that consistency. Now, Alvarez, remember, he was batting low 200s when he went down. He's up to 250 now. He's been hitting the ball with some regularity. His at-bats have looked a lot better for Alvarez. But it's funny because it's either the top of the lineup does it or the bottom of the lineup does it.
Yeah.
Each and every game. It's never everybody has a part in it. It's not all 9 guys got a hit. It's always very heavy loaded on the top, very heavy loaded on the bottom, for whatever reason that is. But you're right. We have not seen that consistency. We have not seen, the guys that you're counting on for big moments to continue. And runners in scoring position has looked a little better. It couldn't look any worse. They were the bottom 2 in all of baseball for the first half of the season. couldn't look much worse. So it's looked a little bit better. But at the same time, I think when you have a game where you scored 12 runs, it kind of inflates those stats and shifts it around so that everybody feels a little bit better. But in actuality, when you're looking at a chance to win a ball game on Friday and that comeback, and you had all the right pieces coming in, and you felt, and Diaz is the one that they wind up scoring the winning run on. They're not able to come through in the waning moments of that game to take over that game and win. They have the laugher on Saturday, which they needed. They haven't been able to put up 10 spot on anybody in a long time. And then, of course, yesterday's game where it just looked bad right from the onset and it wasn't going to get any better. And then Stanek's implosion right there at the end. That's a major cause for concern for me because I don't see that guy being that caliber of pitcher. I don't care what he's getting paid. I know he throws 100 miles an hour with a 91-mile-an-hour split and a good enough breaking ball to throw strikes with. And for some reason, they were on everything.
Yeah, they were, no doubt. And we'll see exactly Minai on the mound tonight. The Guardians in town, Cleveland that is, and Yankees down in Texas to take on the Rangers. And other big storyline that we have yet to hit upon is that Micah Parsons has asked for a trade from the Dallas Cowboys. We'll see exactly how that plays out, but I find it very, very difficult to believe, Figgy. Just kind of a kind of short. We'll see exactly how many layers that this story has. I find it very, very difficult to think that the Dallas Cowboys are ever going to trade Micah Parsons.
Yeah, and this is gonna be an interesting case because will Micah Parsons? I mean, you're talking about playing or working for a boss in any other industry. Say you don't like your boss, and you're like, I can't work for this guy anymore. Well, you pick up and leave. You're under contract. You have to play out at least this contract year coming up. You're already under contract. You're looking for the extension, right? And you can hate your boss all you want, but it all goes back to what are you playing for? Are you playing for the boss or are you playing for your teammates? Are you playing for your team? So everybody, it seems like in the clubhouse or in the locker room has his back, right? They all have his back. They're all on Micah Parsons' side because of what Jerry Jones said. And nobody wants an ownership to question them as far as, once they got paid, all they wanted to, they went out there and got hurt. Nobody's trying to get hurt. They're playing and risking injury on every single play in the NFL, right? It's a brutal sport. But it'd be interesting because and the only way you do it is that you got to turn a blind eye when it comes to ownership and just focus on your teammates, right? And putting up some ridiculous numbers so that whatever happens, if you don't want to sign an extension or you're not going to sign an extension, you're going to become a free agent. You're going to be the most coveted free agent. But you know what? If your attitude is of such and you're going to be a problem for anybody who says, oh, he can't handle anybody talking bad about him. But there's a guy who has a podcast since his rookie season. And every week we go out there. So scrutiny and comments should be nothing to him. Right. That Teflon.
I think it's more about friendly fire. The fact that it was the owner of the team taking the shot.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. Not only that, but I mean, the friendly fire took some strays. I mean, he didn't shoot at them. He threw a grenade and said, you know what, I'm going to take out everybody at once. Because has Dak Prescott mentioned anything that they?
No, but Dak is paid. Dak is paid.
Yeah, I know Dak's paid, but I mean, like he literally by name said, I paid a guy, and he went and got hurt.
That's true. I mean, in the end, though, Figgy, with all that, I mean, do you think Parsons plays for anybody else other than Dallas?
No, I don't. And whether it is a clearing of the air, whether you have to sage the building or whatever it may be, but Jerry Jones, he's going to be steadfast. Does he issue an apology for the way that his comments came out, or that's not how he meant them? Is Jerry Jones going to swallow his pride that much ever? Because he's not. I don't see him doing that. Like, I don't think he would back down or talk back his comments because, again, there is a microphone and a camera in front of you. It's very difficult to talk it back. When it used to be only in print, it was a little bit easier to be like, it's not what I meant. If you could have seen my face, we saw his face. We saw exactly what he meant. So for Micah Parsons, because he's so talented, because I see no way that they decide, hey, we're moving on because it's just not going to work for the ownership. I think for the players and for the team and for that defense, and coming off a disastrous season last year, they need Micah Parsons.
Yeah, so no doubt.
I think that maybe this is the first time that Jerry Jones decides, hey, you know what, I was wrong, and let's make this thing right.
We'll continue to follow that story, obviously, as it develops for the Dallas Cowboys, who are going through training camp out there in Oxnard, California. That does it for this edition of Figgie and the Moose. Make sure to check us out later on tonight, 7 p.m., Sports Nation Nightly on the old TV. I'm Pix 11. For Nelson Figueroa, I'm Marc Malusis. Have a wonderful Monday, everybody. We'll see you later on tonight.